This is the Truthear Pure, spiritual successor to the Truthear Hexa, although I don't think Truthear actually markets it as such. Nonetheless, the similarity is undeniable. This is a one dynamic driver, three balanced armature hybrid IEM. Now, I'm not worried about the cost of this thing and the value proposition. What I'm worried about is, did it do justice to the Hexa? Did it solve the problems of the Hexa? Because presumably that is the point of this IEM. And I have a couple of observations. Observation number one, the cable feels really cheap. Doesn't really matter. It is what it is. Does not make a difference to the sound. Just pointing out a little quality of life thing. But you also don't get a 3.5 mm and 4.4 mm ending, which is coming with a lot of other IEMs, so that's there. And it comes with the usual suite of silicon and foam tips that Truthear adds to all of their boxes now. And it's got a little waifu for some of you degenerates, so there you go. But the all important question, how is it compared to the Hexa? Well, from an ergonomics point of view, it's actually bigger. This earphone is noticeably larger in the ear and therefore is little less small ear friendly, which is a bit unfortunate, always. It also has a hex screw. Yeah, they fixed it. This was a pet peeve for a lot of people because it was called the Hexa, the old one, and it had a Phillips screw. Why would you do that? Well, now you got a hex screw, but it's no longer called the Hexa. Go figure. What about the sound? Okay, the Hexa, when it came out, was a phenomenal little offering, sub $100 in the IEM space, back when there were far fewer options, far fewer good options anyway. And what the Hexa gave you was this beautiful, effortless, spacious sound with a high degree of resolution for $80. It was a no-brainer. The problem with the Hexa was maybe twofold, but the biggest problem by far was probably the lack of bass, specifically mid-bass slam. And because of the setup of the crossovers, you couldn't even EQ it to give you more mid-bass slam. It just wasn't there. That was by far the biggest problem, in my opinion. And the question is, have they solved it? The answer is yes, they have. You now have more mid-bass slam and more sub-bass and more lower mids. They've just increased all the bass to the point where, well, this feels odd because if you increase bass by this much, yes, you get more bass and yes, you get more mid bass punch, but this tuning also adds to the mids, the way the mids are presented. Not making it muddy per se, not that much, although in some cases it does sound like it, but definitely adding to the heft of vocals. And I'm not entirely sure it needed to do that. The old Hexa, the vocals were fantastic. They were sharp, they were clear, but not to the point where being too sharp. Like sometimes I think the timbre of the vocals was a little bit off in the Hexa, but mostly it was just there. The vocals were there, it was well separated from everything else, and it was really, really nice. This one has this fuller vocal quality, but it also seems a little less clear overall, little less well defined. And I think what adds to everything is the lack of treble. So the treble falls off a little bit quicker, but more importantly, the high treble above 10 kilohertz, it seems less on the Truthear Pure compared to the old Truthear Hexa. And the result of that is twofold. Well, it's threefold. On the one hand, you get more bass. There you go. People wanted it, they got it. But on the other hand, vocals don't seem as nice and clear as before. They're still there. They're not muddied and they're not totally obscured or anything, but compared to the Hexa, they're just a little more, I'm going to say bloated for the lack of a better word, just for now. But also, it doesn't sound as wide and spacious as the Hexa. In fact, it seems a lot more in your head and congested. And I think the reason for that is the whole frequency response. So you're looking at it that way. So it's tilted this way. So more bass, less treble overall. Sort of that diffused field tilt that everyone's talking about now. And I think that's kind of messing up the sound. It's tilted a bit too much. I think it could have done with a little more high treble, if I'm being honest. And I very rarely ask for more high treble, so there must be something to it. It's not that you can't hear the details in the treble. That's not what it is. It's just, it's just not as spacious and easygoing as the Hexa. You listen to the Hexa, it feels like a nice, relaxed, comfortable sound with a ton of detail, but nothing overdone, just a little lesser mid-bass. If they just fix the mid-bass and call this the Hexa 2, I'd be very happy to recommend this. But as it stands, I think what's happened is, in a vacuum, just this IEM by itself, forget the Hexa ever existed, this is a warm, bassy IEM with a slightly darker treble that is reasonably technically capable. There are a lot of IEMs now that do similar things at similar price points. Competition is a lot. This doesn't stand out in the market that much anymore. Still good, not great. The Hexa stood out before, to the point where even now, when I'm traveling, when I need to master something, I reach for my Hexas. I carry a pair of Hexas everywhere I go. I don't find myself switching them out for the Truthear Pure because it's just not that nice and easy and apparent a sound. I think they've lost something in retuning the Hexa. Unless this is not a retune of the Hexa and this is its own thing, in which case it's fine, but it doesn't stand out to me in any way. That's just my opinion. Question is, what do you think? Tell me in the comments down below. Consider becoming a member because I might give these away to you. I give away stuff for my members. It's only $1 a month, $3 a month if you wanna, support me more, and I appreciate that. And I do giveaways once every few videos. I give something away. So yeah, consider it, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay happy, stay peaceful, stay colorful. Namaste.